worked on your retirement budget, what your expenses will look like when you are no longer working once the business is sold? And do you believe Social Security will cover that, or do you think you'll need to supplement it?
I believe that it'll cover all of my expenses.
Okay.
Social Security will.
Very good. Yeah, so a couple of thoughts here. First of all, you don't need to invest anything that you're not comfortable with. And when you invest in something that's not guaranteed, like an FDIC insured savings account, there's risk in everything, but there's, that's going to be the lowest on the risk spectrum, where there's government backing in a savings account or a U.S. government bond, or let's say a certificate of deposit. And the good thing is right now, there's no reason for you to let that sit in your checking account and earn basically nothing on it if you're in one of those banks that's paying 0.015% or something like that, because you could take that money beyond what you need for your monthly expenses and move that into a high yield savings at 5% or 4.5%, and still have the backing of the U.S. government, have it completely liquid, and get a decent rate of return on it. With $160,000, we're talking about somewhere around $6,500 to $8,000 over the next year, with you taking no risk and still having complete liquidity. So what I'd probably do is keep that checking account with enough to operate with, and then what I would do is open an online savings account with one of the FDIC insured online banks. You could go to bankrate.com to find the one that you're most comfortable with, and then transfer that into that savings account, and then at any point you could transfer it back if you need it. But then, let's say you put $150,000 in that account, you keep 10 behind, you're still going to get, $6,700 over the next 12 months. Well, why not? It's taxable, but it's still a good rate of return. So now, if you wanted to take a portion of it beyond, let's say, 6 or 12 months worth of expenses in this season of life and invest it, yes, you're taking some risk, but now you have the potential to get a higher rate of return. And what I'd probably do is maybe put, whatever portion that is, let's say it's 100,000 of the 160, then I would probably put maybe 30% of that in a stock mutual fund, and put the rest of it in a bond mutual fund that has high quality corporate and government bonds with shorter durations, and try to get 6% plus maybe on that portfolio. But you are taking some risk, so if you don't want to do that, then I'd stay in the savings accounts and the CDs. I've got to take a break here, Billy. Why don't you and I finish up off the air, because I want to give you a chance to respond to that and see if you have any follow-up questions. So you stay right there. Maria, we're coming your way as well, just around the corner. I know you have a comment on Dale, who called earlier, and singles and elderly falling into scams. Back with much more on Faith and Finance. Our thanks to Certified Kingdom Advisor Wade Chessman, President and Wealth Advisor, and his team at Chessman Wealth Strategies in Dallas for their support of Faith and Finance. Their goal is to help their clients expand their understanding of biblical financial principles and how to implement them. The website is chessmanwealth.com. The phone number is 214-572-2120. Investment advisory services offered through CWM LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor.
Dr. James Dobson's Family Talk.
Christian parents are on the hook today because they have to identify the threats to the value system that's being taught to their children in public schools, and their job is to protect their kids from these influences.
Tune in for Family Talk with Dr. James Dobson, weekdays at 6:30 a.m. and 9:30 p.m. on American Family Radio.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning into our program. God's blessings to you all.
Absolutely free. We know you've learned to be suspicious of those words, but really, you can get biblical financial wisdom delivered to your inbox each week absolutely free. Articles, videos, podcasts, and special offers on biblical resources. Nearly 60,000 people receive our free weekly wisdom email, and you can too. Create your free FaithFi account by going to faithfi.com and click sign up to begin receiving weekly wisdom in your inbox.
We are grateful for support from Sound Mind Investing in the Faith and Finance program. If you have money in a
You know the stock market can sometimes seem like a roller coaster, but it is possible to enjoy both profit and peace of mind in investing, no matter what's happening in the market. You can see a short video webinar on that topic at soundmindinvesting.org. Since 1990, Sound Mind Investing has sought to offer financial wisdom for living well. soundmindinvesting.org.
Delighted to have you with us today on Faith and Finance on American Family Radio. Bob Dole standing by. We'll head there in just a moment to get his analysis on the markets and the economy as it's a Fed meeting week. A lot to talk about with Bob today, but first to the phones. Maria in Indiana. Maria, I understand you have a comment about our previous caller, Dale, who was the victim of fraud. What did you want to share with us?
Well, I think that I don't know if she's single, but I find it very common where a single elderly woman with money who wants to do smart things with it end up with the wrong people. And I think in some ways we really have to pray harder. For example, like when I learned how to be biblically invested, I became more fearless because I knew that perhaps nothing would happen to it. But then there are times when I also get into trouble because it's so easy to make mistakes on the online as well as with people. And as a single person, you have no intimate partner to talk with about your money. You always have to consult professionals. So I wish there were some people that were an institution strictly for the single people who are elderly.
Yes. Well, you bring up a great point, Maria, and we have to be on our guard. We have Christian financial counselors that we can connect you with here if you ever have a question, so don't hesitate to reach out. But you're right. There's a lot of scams out there. There's a lot of fraud taking place. Let me just give you a couple of best practices here. Number one, don't let anyone ever rush you into making a decision, especially one that involves a financial transaction. Always verify credentials before ever giving any personal information, and don't ever give anything to someone who's contacting you by phone or by email. Talk with someone you trust for another opinion, and maybe you'd get involved in a group at your church and use some folks from there that it could be a sounding board. You never wire money to someone without verifying the person, the organization. Don't pay for anything with gift cards. Don't ever click on links in emails and then type in information, even if it looks legitimate. So, yeah, we have to be on our guard, and I think it's really important to have some wise counsel here. And thanks for that reminder about just praying for the Lord to protect us and thwart the enemy's plans. Maria, thank you for being on the program today. May the Lord bless you. Before we head back to the phones, it's Monday, and that means Bob Dole stops by. Bob is Chief Investment Officer at Crossmark Global Investments. We always appreciate our time. Bob, it's a Fed meeting week. What are you anticipating?
I suspect, as most everybody is arguing, Rob, no change to the Fed funds rate this meeting. There'll be a lot of comments around progress against inflation, and yet on the other hand, it's still above where we want it to be, the Fed will say. Looking forward, my guess is that they will raise rates one more time, 25 basis points, either at their November or December meeting. And then beyond that is, when do they start cutting rates? I don't see any Fed cuts until they see the whites of the eyes of a recession.
Yeah, well, we'll certainly continue to watch that, and I think what you're describing is certainly the consensus with regard to the meeting this week. Bob, in light of many of your comments this week in your Dole's deliberations, talking about the cooling of the job market, talking about the fact that excess savings are shrinking, and we're having payroll growth that looks to be slowing, global manufacturing and trade weakening. If the market, and we say market, obviously there's real investors, but a lot of smart money moving the market. If the market looks out 6 to 12 months, why haven't we seen the pullback?
I think that the sloppiness we've seen since the market highs of July 31st are the beginning of that pullback. look, the average investor still thinks we have a shot at a soft landing or no landing, and the recession is way out in time. So I think the market is reflecting what investors in general are saying, Rob. If the average investor really believed we were going to have a recession, I do think the market would be lower than it is today, and we'll eventually have that.
Yeah, interesting. All right, Bob, what about this concentration? You made a comment just about how narrow the gains of the S&P 500 are.
Yeah, I mean, it's measured lots of different ways by different people, but the one we quoted in Dahl's deliberations is the largest 15 companies in the S&P 500 are up 41% year to date. Sounds like a great year.
Yeah.
But the median company is only up 3% this year. What a differential between the two. Conclusion, incredible concentration.
Yeah, it sure is. Obviously, technology, communications, even energy have been kind of leading the pack. Is that right?
Yeah, for the first 7 months of the year, certainly technology, these 15 companies, some call it the Super 7, AI, that's led the way. Since July 31st, of the 11 sectors, technology is actually the worst performing sector, as it's begun to give back some of those gains, and energy has certainly been at the top of the list. The energy stocks have done brilliantly since the spring on the back of higher oil prices.
Yeah. Bob, what about as we shift to just kind of the political landscape? Obviously, Trump's Tax Cuts and Jobs Act due to expire in 2025. We've got just more heightened awareness of inflation and federal budget deficits, not only the mounting debt. I mean, do you think this is going to be a central conversation as a part of the election moving forward?
I do, and I hope so. We certainly need to be discussing that. First of all, as you know, we're facing a government shutdown here in a couple of weeks. But looking to the election, I hope there's a lot of focus on, okay, we've been growing our deficit now at $2 trillion a year in a positive economic environment. What happens when we're in a recession? So we've got to someday, somehow, curb the spending and not let this debt continue to grow.
Yeah. Lastly, Bob, on inflation, obviously we all know that the Fed's target is 2%. We're still not anywhere close. What measure do you use to determine where we actually are today and therefore how far away we are from that target?
Yeah, there are a bunch of them, Rob. We cited in deliberations this week the CPI, the Consumer Price Index, on a trailing 12-month basis. And that's my favorite. Yes, I look at the monthly and the quarterly, but the CPI is up in the last 12 months, 3.7%. Core, meaning ex-food and energy, is up 4.3%. So let's take the average, 4%. Far from 2. Fed has more work to do.
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right, well, all eyes on their comments this week if we don't, in fact, get a rate hike, which I know you and most others think we will not. So, Bob, a lot to come. We'll look forward to having you back next week to break it all down.
I look forward to that.
All right. That's Bob Dahl, Chief Investment Officer at Crossmark Global Investments. You can learn more and sign up for his Dahl's deliberations at crossmarkglobal.com. All right, we're going to round out the program today with your questions, 800-525-7000 to Kansas. Hi, Randall. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, I have a question on CDs. My mother has several, and the institutions, I have verbal power of attorney, and the institutions have their own wording as far as when that person is deceased, when they die, as far as those two, as far as inheritance. She does not have a living will or a will or anything, and they do not normally want to they have their own wording on the CDs, transfer on death, TOD, after the person's name.
Yes.
What is the reason for that? They don't want to put that on there.
Yeah, I mean, typically with a CD, it's a POD for payable on death to a named beneficiary. Normally, you'd not have a TOD on a CD, and it just has to do with various, regulations in terms of what gets titled in what way, and it does vary. So, for instance, TOD is often used, transfer on death, with a deed for real property. Problem is, not every state even recognizes TOD, and so that's not even possible in some cases. So I think the key for you is just to make sure that that beneficiary is named in whatever way the institution will allow, probably a POD or just a beneficiary designation. And as long as that's on the account, you can verify that it is, then you're covered in the sense that it will pass outside of probate directly to the named beneficiary that has been elected to be for this account to be payable on death to, and the money will pass efficiently. Now, I think having that will is really important. Not only the last will and testament for everything else, Randall, but also that living will for some of those end-of-life decisions. So I would encourage her to put that in place, but just keep in mind that you're right, that as long as that POD or that beneficiary is named, you should be all set. Quickly to Ohio. Kay, how can I help you?
Yes, Rob West. This is Kay Holler in Lima,
Hi.
Ohio.
Yes, ma'am.
I had that. I wanted to get this on to you because the man that called in about freedom debt relief,
Yeah.
they robbed me. They're
Oh,
awful.
boy.
They were
Oh.
For 4 years, I paid $592 a month. I got a divorce, and my ex-husband kept me that. I'm a born-again Christian of 39 years. Praise God, maybe 2 right now. And I want to tell you, these people robbed me.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you passing that on, Kay. Listen, I think the bottom line is if they say debt settlement, if they say stop paying and pay us and we'll negotiate it, regardless of who the company is, and I don't know the particular one he mentioned, Kay doesn't like him if it's the same one. She had a terrible experience, but the bottom line is debt settlement is not the way to go. Debt management for credit card debt payoff is the way to go. And I can tell you our friends at ChristianCreditCounselors.org would be ready to serve you and do it really well. Thanks for your call, Kay. Folks, that's going to do it for us today. So thankful that you were along with us. On behalf of my team, Brett Creeley, thankful for Devin Patrick and Jim Henry. I'm Rob West. This has been Faith and Finance on American Family Radio, applying God's wisdom to your financial decisions and choices. Come back and join us tomorrow. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.
The views and opinions expressed in this broadcast may not necessarily reflect those of the American Family Association or American Family Radio.
90.5 KTXG, Greenville, Dallas.
Camera speed.
Action.
American Family Studios is made up of a team of producers, directors, and writers. Austin Brooks, director of American Family Studios. The heart of what we do at American Family Studios is to support and affirm the mission of American Family Association. American Family Studios products are available at afastore.net.
This is American Family Radio, a listener-supported ministry of the American Family Association.
American Family News, I'm Steve Hughes. The Texas State Senate acquitted Attorney General Ken Paxton of 16 corruption and bribery charges over the weekend. He was accused of using his office to benefit local real estate developer Nate Paul, who was under FBI investigation at the time. Texas Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick calls for the state legislature.
Sorry, I'm having trouble understanding you.
Office while they're on trial for impeachment.
In the federal government, if you're impeached like Clinton and President Trump were, you still maintain office. In Texas, you get thrown out, you get suspended with no pay. So basically, they're as Senator as Representative John Smithy said on the House floor, our policy is to hang them now and judge them later. So he was put out of office with no pay. That needs to change.
In so-called sanctuary cities like New York, residents are furious over the city's deal with the federal government to house migrants at the former Naval Air Station Floyd Bennett Field, which is managed by the National Park Service. House Natural Resource Committee Chairman Bruce Westerman of Arkansas and 21 other GOP legislators demanded that Interior Secretary Deb Haaland and National Park Service Director Charles Sams explain why Floyd Bennett Field is being leased to New York City to house illegal aliens.
Our national parks have been called America's best idea. but because of Joe Biden and the far left's worst idea, they're being compromised. And we just can't stand for that. My committee has jurisdiction over the Park Service, and we can't let this administration, let the city of New York or anyone else start building migrant housing centers on our National Park Service property. This is something that has been set aside for all Americans to enjoy, not for somebody to build migrant centers on. And look at New York. There's not a lot of green space here, not like my home state of Arkansas. Yeah. And now you're going to compromise part of that to build migrant centers. That we just can't allow that to happen.
Negotiations have resumed today between the United Auto Workers and the big three car companies. The strike by UAW workers enters its fourth day. Virginia Governor and presidential candidate Glenn Youngkin blames Joe Biden for this mess.
But here we see again the Biden administration